For cheap and reliable Madden 21 Ultimate Team coins, check out EasyMut.com and use code SPORTS for 5% off your entire order. Oh, what's up YouTube? It's Duke, back from SportsGamers.com, and man, I'm excited for today's Madden 21 video because we got something awesome in store for you guys. If you're looking to improve on defense, make sure to watch this video. This is the video for you because we're going to break down a secret lockdown coverage defense that you can use to stop any offense in the game. This is a very rare, very unique defense that not too many people know about, not too many people use, therefore not too many people have had any, experience playing against it. You can use this defense to easily stop any type of formation. We're going to show you examples of how to stop bunch sets, tied sets, spread sets, you name it. We're going to show you guys a setup to beat it. Now, we're going to be looking at, I'm in the Giants playbook on defense, but you can pretty much utilize whatever playbook you want. With this, you just need to, find a formation with the play I'm about to show you guys. Coaching adjustments, I recommend to have auto flip on. And zone drops, I would turn them all off because we're going to be playing match coverage. Therefore, for match coverage to work, you need your zone drops off. Now, the formation I'm going to be running here is going to be big nickel over G. Like it a lot. It gets a lot of good pass rush. I personally do put safeties in at linebacker, especially if my linebackers are not fast. It's a big key. We're going to be using one of the linebackers, so that's important. The play we want to look at is this cover 4 palms. Now, I've broken down some ways to run cover 4 palms over the last 2 years, showed some specific setups for like bunch sets, tight sets, whatever. In this video, I want to show you guys a secret, like very safe coverage that you can, use to no matter what offense is being used against you. So, we can just come out and we'll come out in a lot of different formations. Let's actually come out and bunch tight end first. So, guys, y'all know the drill this year. No matter what on offense, it's a lot of the same concepts. People like to use a lot of crossing routes, a lot of flat routes, a lot of slant routes, a lot of post routes. You have the guys attacking the flat, whether it's the running back on table routes, guys on flats, drags, whatever. Curls, hitches, running back angles out of the backfield. But basically, it's either beaters over the top, big plays on the sideline with, flats underneath. So you got to worry about the flat and the deep sideline. And then high-low reads over the middle with like posts and drags and hitches and ends. And, same concepts, different formations offensively are good this year. So, in order to defend formations, you first have to know what you're even defending to begin with. And that's what I want to get into in this video. Before we go any further, though, I just want to remind you guys, if you're enjoying my content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn your notifications on. Also, smash that like button. It does help me out a lot. And if you guys want more premium Madden 21 content, I put all of my tips and ebooks for offense and defense on SportsGamers.com. That's where my premium content is. So if you enjoy my free YouTube content, make sure to check out SportsGamers.com because you will love it. Best tips out there, guaranteed to take your game to the next level. I promise y'all. So let's get into breaking down what this coverage is even supposed to do before I show you my adjustments. So basically, quarter flats. You see there's 2 quarter flats. They're going to be looking to take away on each side of the field the first receiver into the flat. The deep zones that are on that sideline, the quarter deep zones, it's the cover 4 deep zone, but they do have matching principles. They're going to basically look to match. It depends on the route concept, but generally speaking, these quarter zones, the deep zones, there's a player going to the deeper sideline area. They'll look to take those away. The deep safety zones, they also do have matching principles. The thing about cover 4 palms is it's really designed to play more like cover 2. In theory, the outside corners are supposed to play more like, a flat zone would, kind of be a little bit more aggressive, where the deep zones by the safeties are supposed to play a little bit more over the top. The problem is there's still some bad logic in the game with these zones to where, if you're playing a really good offensive player, they can know how to make your zones kind of go stupid and give up free touchdowns. And that's mostly by the safeties. So that's why this coverage, you have to make some adjustments if you're going to utilize it. Now, the way I'm going to show you guys to run it in this video is something you can do against any formation. It's very good. So first of all, we're going to press coverage. Because again, if we're playing like cover 2, why not press? You know what I mean? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to pinch the D-line. This just allows me, first of all, this is good for run defense. And I always want to say, first and foremost, you need to stop the run. So, I mean, yeah, you can spread out the D-line, but, you might give up the run. Now, the most important thing to do is you want to actually put both safeties into a deep half. The one on the left should be a deep half to the left, and that's going to be to the right on the left analog stick. The one to the right should be the deep half to the right, which is right on the right analog stick. The last thing I like to do is if I'm playing a mobile quarterback, I do spy the D tackle on the left just to make sure they can't run, and I always look to use the 3-rec hook zone. Now, when you're doing this, there's obviously, I've made a few other videos on this coverage, 1 or 2 this year, and a few last year. I'm doing a lot of crazy stuff most of the time. This is a more setup that you can use against anything. It's very safe. Now, when you're using this, you've almost made this like a cover 2, but with matching principles because of the deep halves we put out by the safety. So, realistically speaking, I'm not too concerned about corner routes, flat routes, whatever, because I know those are being matched. Even routes over the middle field oftentimes will too. Main thing I'm worried about is because I put these safeties in the deep halves. As y'all know this year, deep halves do not play the seams well. So that's really what I'm watching more than anything. If I see seam routes down the middle, posts down the middle, things like that, I need to watch that. Also, potentially, some route combos could allow crossers not to get matched. You would need to watch for those types of things yourself. And we'll show you some examples now of what you need to look at with your user. So let's just go ahead and run a few plays from this formation stock so you guys can see how exactly it would work. So you guys can see here exactly what I'm talking about. I'm having to guard that post route myself, and as you guys can see, the 3-man rush, it's really just a matter of a broken play. Let's go ahead and do that again for you guys so you can see exactly what I meant as far as the flats and the corners and those types of routes being matched. Meanwhile, my responsibility is more so over the middle of the field than anything else. So here's the exact same setup. You guys can see again, kind of looking what I need to guard. I see the post is coming open. That's on me. By the time, really the routes even start to develop, they're already getting sacked. So let's just take a look at a replay and you guys can see how this play develops a little bit and the coverage works. So, again, the 2 quarter flats, the purples, right? They will take the flat. Here you guys see, whether it's a receiver, running back, does not matter. This guy heads in the flat, bam, he's being covered. Over here, this guy heads in the flat, bam, he's being covered. Right here, we got a corner out. Again, as I told you, if there's routes attacking the sidelines like corners, those what the deep zones are going to take away by the outside corners. Bam, again, he's being covered. And over the top, I got the safeties in the deep halves, so really don't have to worry about the bomb plays. You guys can see that this player is actually matching up on the streak too. So really all that leaves me is kind of what I said. If I see a post or a seam route over the middle, that's on me. And that's what I'm looking to take away here. So that's exactly what I did. Now, you might be wondering, what about a play like the ever popular PA boot over, right? Y'all know the deal. It's just something very simple like this, right? So again, same setup. I press, pinch the D-line, put each safety in a deep half on their side of the field. And then I'm going to roam the middle with the 3-rec hook zone. Now, let's do that one more time because I think my setup got a little bit out of whack. You always control the 3-rec. He should be, this should be how it looks because we want auto flip on. You always want the nickel back to be on the strong side of the offensive formation, by the way, so make sure you are aware of that. All right, so this is how it's going to look. Again, you can do a QB spy. You don't necessarily have to. But, again, against a play like the PA boot over, here's how it's going to look. So I'm initially going to act like I'm coming down on that underneath route, but I know that since, he's eventually heading over to the flat, he's going to get matched up by that quarter flat. So I just guard him for a split second, and then I drop back on the crosser. Because, again, because the crosser is coming over the middle of the field, I need to watch that myself. Now, because there's really no one else for this guy to guard, in a situation like this, he's going to match up on that deep post. So I'm not as worried about that as the crosser. And I also know how the deep zone's over here, too. This guy's getting matched again by the outside corner because, again, he has no one to guard. The safeties are over the top. So, again, it's mostly just the middle of the field that I'm looking to take away. And as you guys can see, I'm running underneath that crosser. Probably baited the underneath route a little too hard there because, they definitely could have thrown it here before I recovered. So, you got to be, when you're running this defense, on top of the game with your user for sure. Now, if you go ahead and try to look at this against the formation bunch, you guys will see it's pretty much the same thing. If they're going to have, let's do Z spot and go, because that's a perfect example a play where they're attacking the flat and the sideline on both sides of the field, we're really going to shine in those types of situations. Because again, all we do is press, pinch the D-line, put the safeties in deep halves, and again, you can spy this guy if you want right here for a little bit of protection against the mobile quarterback. And also when you spy him, he does play that shallow middle of the field area very effectively. So let's just go ahead and make sure we got this set up correctly. And we should be good. Yeah. So again, my responsibility, I already know the flats and the corner routes and breaking routes or the sideline. They're getting covered. Mainly just worried about the middle of the field, intermediate seam area. So if I see this guy, again, he's attacking down the middle, I know I need to guard him, right? Because the safeties are spread out. They do not play the seam well this year. Now again, if it's a situation where there's a deep post being matched, I don't care about that. It's just mostly the routes over the middle field that aren't getting matched, and a lot of times those will be the quicker posts, maybe a slant, crosser, whatever the case may be. But again, you guys can see that the way a lot of people play this year's game, attack the flats, attack the sideline, no, that's not going to work on this defense. As you guys can see, they get matched up, and I'm actually going to throw one of these routes the next play so you guys can see. Because, I'm sure you're saying, well, are they really covered or do they just look covered? No, I promise you guys, if you try to throw these routes, they are going to definitely get covered and, probably picked off, to be quite honest with you. You definitely don't want to just throw at these zones. Obviously, the better corners you have, the better results you'll see. But in a situation like this, I promise you guys, and I'm just going to click off here so we don't do anything. I'm just going to try to throw the corner out, and you're going to see, I promise you, they're going to react. Look at that. They're just right there, to bat it away, pick it off, whatever the case may be. So again, really at the end of the day, your job is the middle of the field for intermediate type routes, maybe the seams, depending upon the route combo they got. But I promise you guys, the more you use this defense, the more you're kind of just going to start to be aware of the different route combos and how to play each one. And you're going to get a ton, as we see, we just knocked this ball out. You're going to have a ton of success. I mean, this is a very, 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 very difficult defense to, be able to attack with someone who knows what they're doing. So you might be wondering, what if they do something like this? What if they just go ahead and do a concept where, they're attacking the middle of the field with multiple players? Again, it's not a problem. You just have to basically be in a situation where you see who's being matched and take away the other player. So, mesh post, right? I'm sure you guys are probably thinking, okay, what about mesh post? Because this is a play where multiple people could go over the middle of the field. How would we look to attack something like this? And, mesh post is a very good play. I love mesh post. Honestly, it's one of the best plays in the game. If all the different setups you can use. But again, I'm not too concerned with it because I know, I know how to defend it. So, let's say that they just do something simple like this. 2 drags, a flat, and a post. So now you have 2 drags coming over the middle, a flat, also a post. So a high-low read with the drags and the post, and then also you are attacking the flats. So right away, I'm just kind of guarding the drag for a split second. Then I take the post and I help out. But at the end of the day, again, these zones are very smart. They're not actual zones. They're playing match coverage other than the safeties. So while I might need to kind of fake like I'm guarding the drag for a split second, as soon as he crosses over the middle, see how my quarter flat over here, he doesn't have any responsibility, so he just takes him himself. Now, again, this guy, he's matching up on the other drag, and again, my other quarter flat has the flat here, which leads this guy to be able to guard the post. Now, obviously, y'all know that even if the post is manned up, it can get open, so I know that too. And because of that, as soon as I take away the drag for a split second, right after I see and he's heading kind of into my spy and quarter flat area, I know the post is about to break, so I come underneath it. So if you were to throw this right here, I can pick that off. And then I can kind of double team him, wall him off, so now he cannot get open. You see what I mean? Once you have the play recognition, and that's very, very key. I feel like a very underrated tactic on Madden is your play recognition on defense to kind of see a formation and know, what routes can they do? What is popular? Once you see that and are able to react easily on the fly, your game is going to get so much better, and this defense is a perfect way to do that. So yeah, that's going to take that away very easily. Now, what about something like spread? Now, first of all, to me, this is the easiest one to deal with. First of all, 4 verticals. Pretty common, right? So what are we going to do against 4 verticals? I mean, honestly, if someone's running 4 verticals, we could literally just throw away the key, just press, and not even do anything, to be honest with you. Just make no adjustments. And, I mean, they would have nothing to do, as you guys can see here. You know, nothing's going to be even remotely open. But if you still do use the same adjustments against spread, which is just to press and pinch the D-line, then do the deep halves on the safeties, just like this, and use it in the middle, all you have to do is just take away the seam yourself. You can kind of just play in the middle, and then, you know, if they did try to throw one, you're right there yourself. Now, I will say if they do throw, you know, a lot of vertical routes, you probably just don't even want to make any adjustments because then it plays it a little bit better. But, you know, you never really know what someone's going to do from spread. You don't know if they know how to beat the palms from spread. You just don't know. So you're safer. You are safer until you feel otherwise. Just going ahead and doing, you know, the little adjustments with the, you know, the safeties in the deep zones. Now, what about if they're doing something like this with hitches and corners? I mean, there's all types of spread concepts, right? Hitches, corners, which would be something like a smash. They could do curl flats. Let's just look at it all. And you're going to see, again, this does a great job. Because, again, this is more built like a cover 2 coverage than anything else. A situation like this, I don't really have much to guard. I mean, I can kind of just sit here over the middle of the field, and there's nothing open. And the reason for this is simple. If you take a look at the replay, you're going to see that our coverage is very adaptive. I mean, they're very smart. I can just sit over the middle, wait for a playmaker, wait for the running back, or whatever might happen. But basically what happens here is these quarter flats, they initially kind of press the corners in the slot, like take them away initially, but once they see that there's a hitch on the outside, they get underneath them, and then my corners bail off, and they match up on these corner routes. So, I mean, it's very, very good coverage. That's very smart to take away the majority of route combos there are. Like, yes, there are a few here and there that can give it problems, which is why we have to adjust the safeties. But for the most part, if you know what you're doing with this defense, it's going to be clamps. I mean, it's very hard to attack. Honestly, this is the hardest defense for me to attack when someone knows what they're doing with it. And I mean, I've been playing Madden forever, and I'm always one of the best offensive players. But if somebody knows how to make adjustments out of this defense and how to mix it in and how to run it right, it is super hard. It's rare that you see someone who knows how to do it, which is why I like to do videos on this coverage, because I feel like a lot of people don't understand it because it's more, you know, it's more real football than Madden, to be honest with you, which a lot of people, they don't really truly understand how this coverage works. And like, there are bugs in the game of Madden that shouldn't be. They're not in real life, but I'm trying to like kind of bring those to life for you guys here so you understand. But anyways, let's look at curl flats here. So curl flats, obviously you guys can see, I mean, you know, there's really not much of a window, because what ends up happening, if you guys take a look at the replay, is if you just go ahead and try to run curl flats and you just leave the coverage as is, the safeties are gonna eventually take over onto the receivers. The outside corners are gonna guard the flat, and then our quarter flats are kind of just sitting here waiting for you to throw the ball. And if you throw that, they can pick that off. Sometimes they won't, sometimes they will. I will say curl flats is a pretty solid way, one of the better ones actually, to attack this coverage. There's not honestly many ways that are really that great at attacking this coverage overall, but this is actually one of the better ones, and the reason for that is just because of the low ball is so good on curls this year. Even if the coverage is decent, you can still sometimes fit it in. So like right here, if you guys see, I'm actually just going to get on a D lineman so I can low ball a curl. You'll see that, you know, if you are able to time that well, the low ball definitely can beat this. It sometimes, see what I'm saying? Like, it sometimes does beat it, even though the guy's sitting right there. Like, you would think that's a terrible read. But honestly, the low ball curl is really annoying this year. Like, I want to say like, oh, this is the best thing in the world. Like, obviously it's covered. It's just the low ball sometimes allows people to catch curls and stuff like that. They really shouldn't. But I mean, overall, this still is good defense against this. Like, this is one of the low ball in itself is the way to kind of throw some passes open that really aren't even open to begin with. But like, I'm going to take this defense. If you're going to just try to throw this right at my guys when they're clearly covered, I'll take that all day. Because again, this coverage is very smart. When the safeties are putting the deep pass over the top, what happens is the corner flats play the flat at first for a split second. And once they see that there's no one really going deep, the corners, again, they're so smart. They are able to drop down into the flat and then allow our quarter flats to get underneath the curl to where, honestly, like, if someone throws this at me in a game and they catch it one time, the next time you throw it, I'm going to click on it and I'm going to pick it off. So, like, yeah, you could throw this here and there. Maybe you'll catch it, fluke, or whatever because of the low ball. You try this too many times, you're going to get picked off, though. So that's not even something you need to worry about. So, again, you can see the issue with what I'm saying. You're not going to be, like, this is such a good defense. It's hard to be able to attack it. Now, one thing I will say, if there's anything that this formation does, or this coverage sometimes can have issues with, it's formations like trips tight end, because that's where the biggest flaws, I would say, in the logic are, and that's with the safeties especially, and that's what really forces you more than anything to put those safeties in deep halves. Now, this is still good coverage against trips. I would just say that if I was playing this defense, trips would be the first formation I do go to, because it probably does overall have the most flaws against trips. Now, you're going to still see the same defense I'm going to run is effective. You just have to be a little bit more aware when against trips users, I would say, than others, just because of all the different things you can potentially do out of trips. So let's just do something really easy here. Something like this where, we just do a streak and then we, get this guy out of the way. Something like this. This is a pretty common thing someone will do. Try to, do something like this. Maybe even do a little, motion slant. Something like this where they have a crossing route, a little guy in the flat and a slant. Something like this is a very common play on this year's game. Now, this is actually really good coverage against it, believe it or not, as you guys can see. There's not anything open. You know what I mean? It's just you have to be aware of when they're in trips, all the different deep posts and little exploits they have. You got to be aware of those, okay? But when you put the safeties in the deep halves, you kind of minimize the effect of that. So really, I just have to guard the tight end for a split second and the crossing route for a split second. But the thing is, as you guys can see, everything is getting matched here. The only thing that would be open, so you guys can see this crossing route was taken away by Ramsey. I had to guard the streak. Then it was covered by the safety. The only thing here was the slant. Now, if you threw a slant right here, you would dot me up. But if you wait too late, look how it's getting matched at the last second. So again, that's what I'm saying. Trips kind of is a decent way to attack it. But even at that, you still do have pretty solid coverage overall. Now, let's say that they did a little bit of try to attack a little bit differently to where they're going to go ahead and try to, instead of using motion, just do something a lot of people do, which is literally just run this play as is and just throw like a streak and a drag in the mix. Something like this. This is an extremely common thing you'll see. Maybe even throw a smart route in route. But as you guys can see, again here, we're able to take that away very well. All we have to do is guard the crosser ourselves. Now, that's what I mean by having play recognition. You guys see when they don't use motion and they streak the tight end. See how your corner goes with the streak? So that means that your user has to go with the crosser. And that's what I mean by once you run this defense a little bit, you'll start to see how different formations and different route combos and motions, your match coverage reacts differently. And you have to just, basically what I do is I've run this coverage a lot, so I kind of already know. But if you don't know, what you want to do is at the snap, you want to read the way the routes are developing and your coverage is reacting to it just for a split second. And once you see that, that's when you want to go with your user. So you guys can see here, I actually kind of did that. See, I'm kind of pausing for a second, and then I see, as soon as I see that streak and the receiver is on a crossing route, I already know that because of no motion, the corner is going to match up on the tight end. Therefore, I need to guard the crosser. And bam, I'm right there. So there's really nothing here. Now, another thing that I would say is very important with this defense is speed. Speed in the secondary, because you're going to have a lot of people matching. And if people are going to, again, people love trips this year in bunch. And people love those formations for a lot of deep posts and crossers, right? You will have people match coverage a lot. Now, if you have trying to play against 99 speed Tyreek Hill on a crosser and a post, and he's getting matched by 89, 90 speed random DB, it doesn't matter how good the coverage scheme is, he's going to get beat. So you definitely want to be aware of that and make sure your DBs have good speed. If you're playing against top-notch receivers, speed is huge, and you can't substitute for speed. So definitely be aware of that. If you're playing with a team that doesn't have the best DBs and you're playing against a Tyreek Hill or a really fast receiver, you're going to have to be aware of that, and you're going to have to kind of take that away from your user a little bit too. You're going to have to kind of make up for your lack of defensive personnel with your user. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a pretty long video. I wanted to get really in depth and show you guys a ton of examples of how this coverage works. If you like this content, it's a lot different than what I normally post. Most of my tips are way shorter than this and less in depth. But if you like this kind of content, make sure to leave a thumbs up and let me know, and we'll do more in the future. It's Duke. I'm out.